This is open uh, request to Sai Deepak, dear friend. I think he is one of the greatest intellectual that India has, and he spoke about something that is very very true, in the sense that Pakistan had some kind of some group of Hindus still surviving there in spite of all those persecutions. This is because they had not uh, dependent. They didn't want to depend upon anybody, neither the political class nor any organization, political or private or other kind of organizations. But it is true, we can say that we should have such forceful identity consciousness, very dynamic identity consciousness as Hindus. But also the government should also do something. I differ in this sense from the what Sai Deepak says, that the law, when it is correctly utilized, correctly used, can do marvelous things that even swords cannot do, or pistols or any other arms cannot do. Just you have to look at the example of France, which had banned the niqab, the masks covering the women, burqa covering the women from head to toe. This bill is called the La Loi numéro 2010-1192, loi interdisant la dissimulation du visage dans l'espace public, or in English, Law of 2010, love, 1000, not 1192, Act prohibiting concealment of the face in public space. This act, passed in the parliament, was sent to the Senate of France on 14th 2010, and with the okay of this Senate, the Senate giving their accepted this law, so the law went into effective vigor from 14th September 2010 onwards. This law is in place. So with one law, they can stop niqab, burqa, and what they did, I cannot explain here in detail. Just we have to search for those material on internet itself. This is very clear that Sai Deepak is totally right about depending on ourselves, because we should not wait for a savior to come and save us. It is right. But when we have a right government like that of France, that of NICOLAS Sarkozy, who banned the burqa in France, and the successive government of Nicolas Sarkozy, Macron did the same thing without proclaiming himself as an anti-Islamist. Just he is doing for the sake of harmonizing the Muslim faith with the ideas of the French Republic. Republican values, they call that le valeur de la République. Donc, then the French Council of Muslim Faith last week, some time ago, adopted the Imam Charter. This Imam Charter sets out a framework for Muslim faith. I'm finished with what did Mr. Nicolas Sarkozy with the law of the pertaining to the prohibition of prohibiting concealment of the face in public space, that is covering oneself with burqa. That is finished. Now I am going to talk to you about the successor of Nicolas Sarkozy, who is Mr. Macron. After Nicolas Sarkozy lost the elections, Mr. Macron came and nothing changed and got more violent, more rigorous when applying to the safeguard and protection of the French Republican values. So they were conscious of what they want from the beginning. Whatever the event may impact on the governance of France, whoever may come to govern France, they all are conscious of one thing. They want the France they want in France an Islam which is compatible, which is in harmony with the values of the Republic. So when Macron came, the French Council of Muslim Faith, which was a creation of the French government to represent Muslims, but where the representatives of the Muslim faith in the Council of Muslim Faith, they themselves belong to some kind of government, French government internal ministry. So the internal ministry labeling themselves as some representatives of the French Muslims, they created a fake French Council of Muslim Faith. This is what they did. And you can agree one thing here, that they are more Chanakya than we are. Why? Because Chanakya's Arthashastra is studied by all politicians. This is a very strange news, but in the school of sciences politiques, École de sciences politiques, this Chanakya's book, Arthashastra, which was rewritten by a great French author, was himself a great politician, Boileau, Jean-Joseph Boileau. He wrote a book on the Arthashastra, and this book was a very this book was read by all politicians in the schools where they are formed, where they are educated. So Jean-Joseph Boileau, il s'appelle Jean-Joseph Boileau, B-O-I-L-L-B-O-I-L-L-O-T. Land, this book called Land au chevet, Land au chevet de l'homme politique. Land doit... Voilà, donc... Land au chevet des hommes politiques, un truc comme ça. Arthashastra was taught land ancienne au chevet de nos politiques. Jean-Joseph Boileau. please consult and read, if you can, about this book in French. If you read French, l'Inde ancienne au chevet de nos hommes de nos politiques. Political persons, for the sake of political persons. This is a translation of Arthashastra about the governance, the art of governance. Please look at it. Who is Jean Joseph Boileau? Boillot. Jean, Jean, Joseph, Joseph. Boileau, Boillot. L'Inde ancienne au chevet de nos hommes, de nos politiques. This thing is a culture in France. They apply whatever good they see other countries, and they take it very seriously when it is very useful. They don't throw that, but they don't say at all in public that they are learning all these things from Arthashastra. This is very strange. They all know that whatever they learn, that comes from Arthashastra, and they never agreed publicly. This is very, very strange about the French people. Now, coming to the Macron epoch, the man who succeeded Nicolas Sarkozy, he just decided one day, after waking up in the morning, let us call Mr. The President of the French Council of Muslim Faith. Let us give them a charter of principles that should bind what the mosques should do, what the imams should do, what they should educate in publics, in private schools of madrasas, what they should educate, what they should speak when they are in private, in their houses, or whatever education is given to children from the beginning to the end. So, that's why this charter is very useful. This is called the Charter of Principles. But the French Council, as I told you, Council of Muslim Faith, is just a creation of the Internal Ministry of France itself. So, they signed this charter without making any sound with their mouth. They just accepted, as if they went to take coffee with the French President Macron. Macron signed one side, and the chief of the Council of Muslim Faith signed on the other side of the same paper, same contract, same chart. So the both have signed on this paper, which binds now as a law on the imam education. Some few imams are there in France, not so many like in India. But what the kind of law they are doing in France should inspire India also. I think we are a people who are blind, and I am totally in accordance. I accept what Mr. Deepak Sai Deepak says on this point, that we are blind to the fact that we are Hindus, and we should protect the identity. I think this a very great problem for us Indians. We do not care about our own Hindu religion. But French are not like that. They, under the cover of Laicite or the Secularism, they do whatever they can to stop encroaching religions of other regions coming into France, mingling or meddling with their Christian identity, under the cover of Laicite, they are very efficiently doing this, applying a neo-Chanakya method. And I request Mr. Sai Deepak, who is a great intellectual for whom I am in admiration, to contact me, and I will explain, give the details of the whole law and the articles that are in this law, so that we Indians may get inspired by the French to do the same, so that we can centralize a charter in which every mosque and every imam should be registered. And this charter, this register, is computerized, effectively data-based charter about who is teaching, what he is teaching, and how he should teach are all under this law. So, without shedding any blood, without doing any arms attacking, or without wielding any pistol or very guns, as Sai Deepak told that in United States, they at least have some right to carry arms. But in France, they didn't have this right. But what happened in France is more with the intelligence than with the arms. They intelligently applied the Chanakya chart to centralize what they wanted as what they felt as something un-French, something outside of French mentality. So they wanted to take that inside their French mentality and harmonize it strictly with the law. So with the man Macron, that beginning of the law of Nicolas Sarkozy, which was just an inspiration of another law, which was very long ago, 2004 itself. It was another law on the secularism, laicite, and just it is that law also is tracing it back to a very ancient tradition of the separation of the church and the politics, and all kind of these laws. So now slowly, from the separation of the church to the government, they transformed themselves as something to protect Christianity against invasion of other religions. So they did it from the time of Mr. Nicolas Sarkozy, and now with the French Macron, they have efficiently tackled the problem of assimilating the other. So now I think I have told enough about all these things, but we have to keep an eye on this on the ongoing debate concerning the Macron's law, and we have to inspire ourselves from what they want to. By even they went to the details of stopping halal foods and other kind of things, so we have to be, with the French inspiring such laws, we could easily tackle all kind of problems without any hue and cry, or crying outside, shouting outside, or wielding arms, or any kind of conflict, any kind of unrest coming out in the streets. Everything is useless. Just a man decides something, and that man seems to be Mr. Macron, and passes a law. That's all. So why can't we do this? When such people exist in France, why can't we elect those kind of those kind of people and organizations, so that they will take forward our will to safeguard our identity? But the first, in the first place, we don't have such kind of ferocious instinct to save our identity. That is our problem, and Sai Deepak is all right to say and underline the fact that we lack identity consciousness about our Hindu religion. And only when we will have some education, some kind of consciousness, some kind of awakening, then we can be we can hope to form some kind of organization inside, outside of the political realm, and other kind of things, so that Hindus can come with a more forward ambition, that is not like RSS, just to show they are serving the people, social service, and etc. But we should go forward to take some kind of severe steps, so that other kind of foreign religions should be controlled by the central authority. That should be our goal. Charter, database, control, law should be our four buzzwords, words of we should have four objectives, clear objectives, 4 ports where our ship should navigate and go, 4 goals we should have in our mind, and pursue those goals up to the end.